All right, we're rolling. We're live. As I always say in all of our videos, I ask you, are we rolling? Are we rolling? Okay. Merry Christmas, everybody. By the time this comes out, let me just double check the date here. Actually, literally, it'll be Christmas Day. So today's video is a 2024 OSG recap. I know we're a little bit delayed by a couple weeks. It's just life got busy and I was licking my wounds, so to speak. So, no, we just got real busy. So we figured we did one last year, so let's do another OSG recap. And yeah, you guys will be watching this on Christmas Day. So, nice little Christmas present. You could listen to me ramble on about another competition. So, this year was a very, very stacked year. As I seen the roster getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I knew it was going to be really competitive. So this year there ended up being, I think 50 or 55 guys. There was, I think 55 signed up, and after day one or something, there was 50 guys. So a lot more than last year. Last year there was only 38. So right off the bat, it was more competitive. This year there were seven events instead of six, which I do like. I like that better, as long as it's not two pressing events. But seven events kind of suits me better to kind of claw back some more points in the finals. And I knew the final events were better for me, so I just had to get there. That was the first goal, is to make the finals. So yeah, we'll do a little recap of each video or each event and kind of what I thought about it, and how training went leading up to it. But first, I kind of want to talk about the show itself. It was in Wisconsin this year, which it was cold, colder than West Virginia, but it was still not as cold as it was up in Canada. So it was kind of funny to see everyone complaining about the cold down there. And I think day one, I walked over there in my in my sweater and my shorts, and it was perfectly fine. But um, big venue. I think the comp floor was actually a little bit bigger than last year. Lots of room for the athletes to warm up. The um, the recovery area was maybe a little bit smaller. It seemed like last year there was like massage people doing skate scraping, cupping, body tempering, but they still had a really, really good group of chiropractors there. IVs, where people were getting IVs constantly the whole weekend. They had cold tubs there if we wanted, so that was kind of a cool addition. But the biggest change was the format. So normally it would be one event, and then it'd start with um, I don't even know if it's 64 kilo women or what, and then worked all its way up against 12 different classes at a time, and they'd adjust the weights every time. This time they did two events kind of at a time, so they grouped some of the weight classes together. Like for me, it would have been open women and open men. We did event one, and then right after we did event two. So our warm ups were nice and quick. It was nice and easy. They had a very, very big team, lots of volunteers, and it was very efficient the way that they changed the weights. The event selection ran smoothly. Um, so I didn't do my first event on day one and two until about 6:30 p.m., which is great because at home that's how I train. I train after work, so it gives me lots of time to sleep, get some recovery in, get lots of meals in. So I was nice and fueled for every day. So that was a big change that I hope they keep moving forward for next year. So we'll start her off with log press. So um, I was the first person to sign up for OSG, so that meant I got to go in the last heat of the first event, which was log press, which usually would be a big strategic advantage, but pressing being my weaker event, it didn't really matter. The comp weight, there was two options. There was two logs out in front of us. It was either a 350 for reps or a 380, and one rep at 380 trumps any amount of reps at 350. And I knew that if you wanted to make the finals, you had to hit the 380 for reps. There was just no questions about it. So in training on peak week, I hit three. Um, what I hit 373, I think is what it was, or 378 for a double in training, and that was a PR for training. So that's on my log, my equipment I'm used to. So I knew going to this show they were using the Mike Bartos monster logs, which are like 280 pounds empty. So um, I got 2 reps in the competition. Um, the cleans on the logs really threw me off because it's so heavy empty that when I would clean it, it had all that extra momentum. Like the ends were bigger, kind of um, bell ends, I guess, and it's just that extra weight. So there actually is not plates spinning as you're cleaning it. It's all one weight, and you can see in the video the first rep threw me back, kind of staggered around. I pressed it, and I was kind of walking around a little bit. Kind of got a bit of a gift on that first rep. The second attempt, I just cleaned good. I was perfect. I was solid, but I just lost power. I don't know. It was weird. Maybe I wasn't as tight in the upper back, so I had to drop it. And then my third attempt was my best rep. So just ran out of time to try another one. So to match a training PR, I'm happy because doesn't matter what you do in the gym. It only matters what you can do on competition day. And yeah, so 2 reps, 380. That's something I need to work on this off season is just get a bigger press. So um, we're working on it. And when they redid the scores for the finalists, I only ended up getting 1 point for that event. So that's the event that I really lost the most points on, is because I only got 1 point on it because I got the least amount of reps out of the top 10. Um, Next event was the car yoke. It was a 1,000-pound car yoke for 50 feet. Um, the the kicker with this event is that in familiarization, they wouldn't let us pick up the yoke. So I mean, it was the same for everybody, except for a few of the athletes have used this exact piece of equipment in competition before, either at OSG or World Strongest Man. So maybe they kind of knew a little bit where their exact height was, but yeah, essentially we couldn't pick it up at all. So you go from just bending underneath it to try and find your pick height to go into 1,000 pounds. Um, I was lucky that after the rules meeting, I was able to go to the comp floor, and I actually did pick it up, and they got pretty angry at me. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot on the line here, and I wanted to get it as right as I could. And I ended up lowering my pick height 1 hole, um, which in hindsight, I should have maybe went 2 holes, because when you watch the video, my tires kind of hit 2 or 3 or 4 different times on the ground, and they're locked. So if the tire hits the ground, it catches you and it is going to jar you. Um, and then also, I wasn't quite expecting the whistle to go that fast, so I was trying to listen to the cadence of the head referee, but um, and that's all it takes, is just literally that couple hundredths of a second, that if you were ready, anticipating that whistle and not hitting the tires, that would have been a bit better for me. But at the end of the day, yoke in general, it's just kind of a hit and miss event for me. In training, I tend to really struggle with heavy yoke walks because it really hurts my feet, and my plantar fasciitis really kicks in. So in peak week, I hit 1,000 pounds for 30 feet in roughly 9 seconds. So I mean, I was hoping to try and get around that 15-second mark, and I ended up getting 14.72 seconds, which I mean, I'm happy with that. But that's an event that after we rescored it, I only got 3 points because there was essentially 7 guys. I wrote this down. There was essentially 7 guys separated by less than 1.5 seconds. So that's a lot of points up for grabs at maybe the difference of a stopwatch or something. So moving forward, I like to kind of see an event like that maybe a little bit further. So then the times are maybe a little bit spread out, or hard to do with a car yoke, but maybe a medley where there's more separation, because um, as we'll talk about later, a lot came down to that event really. So um, I'm happy with that, because car yoke, or yoke in general, is kind of hit and miss. So that's the fastest I've ever moved with 1,000 pounds, and now I know moving forward next time I'll adjust my pick height, and it'll be a lot smoother next time. So that was day one. I think after day one I was sitting in 13th place. So I had some work to do to try and make sure I made the finals, but um, excuse me. Day two events, I think could have been good for me too. So the first event of day two was a Trump deadlift. I was on an axle bar. You had 2 options. So it was either 705 or 820. So there was a big separation between the two bars. But again, if you wanted to make the finals, you had to get reps at the heavier bar. There's no doubt. This year's lineup, there was a group of ridiculously good deadlifters. Sorry, even for the log press, I mean, Jack Osborne got 5 reps with 380, which is unbelievable, and a whole bunch of people got 4 as well. So that was the winning number for log. For deadlift, the winning number was 6 by Josh Spurgeon. I don't think that was a surprise to anyone. Everyone knows that he's a very, very good deadlifter. Um, and he was saying the whole time, the whole prep, that he would do one more than he needs to just to win, and that's exactly what he did. So 6 was the winning number, and I got 4, so that was a PR for me. In training, I only got 3. Um, Based off of training, I knew 4 could be there with a very, very small chance of a 5th. I tried it, I attempted it, but I got it off the ground a few inches, but just didn't have the power to get 5. So um, this event was, suits were allowed, figure eights were allowed, but we had to run to the bar and then strap in on our own time. So um, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter because no one's going to be deadlifting 820 for the whole 60 seconds anyway. So it was actually pretty good. Only had to strap in and deadlift for 30 seconds. So um, 4 reps with 820. I'm really happy with that for an axle. I like to maybe incorporate that in my off season because if you can get strong at actual deadlifting, your deadlifting on a regular bar is just going to shoot up. So I'm happy with that. The next event was a sandbag medley. I think it ended up being a little lighter than what we were supposed to do, but just based off of bags and stuff like that, it ended up being, I think it was I think they were both a 325 sandbag and a 325 Husafell bag for 50 feet. Run, drop it into a sled, 50 feet back, grab the Husafell, run it back 50 feet, and then sled push a sled back 50 feet. So I know sandbag is typically a good event for me. Moving medleys are good. Push is kind of an unknown because it depends on the surface, how big the frame is, but I got to see majority of the people go ahead of me, so I knew you had to go as fast as I can. I think for that event with the rescore, I got 4th place in that event. So Nick Gardion won that, and he's a very athletic guy, so I knew it was going to be hard to beat him. But if I could try and keep pace with some of the other guys, I'd be in good shape, and I did. The bags were easy, the bags were light. The only thing I could have done different is just run faster in my transitions. It's funny because you look back and you always think you're running fast. In your head, it looks like you're just flying, but then you watch the video and it's like, man, I was barely moving. So I know I could have ran faster in the transitions, and um, you can breathe when you're done. So breathe when the event's done. Um, so moving forward, I'll make sure I turn up that hustle a little bit, and even if you could shave half a second each transition, that makes a big difference in the end. So still very happy with that event, which meant that after the first 4 events, I was in 9th place overall. So that meant that I got this beautiful black T-shirt for the 2nd year in a row. It's the black, the what is it, covenant? Is that the word? How do you pronounce it? Sure. The the holy grail of OSG shirts is the black final shirt. So that's what everyone's there trying to get. Um, so we went into the finals in 9th place. A little bit lower than what I was hoping for. I was hoping to go into the finals at least in 8th place because I thought I could make up enough points in the finals events to get on the podium. Um, but we fell a little short. But we'll tune in to the end and listen to how it goes. The first event of the finals was the sandbag toss, exact same run as last year. It was 40, 45, 45, 50, 55, 60 to a 15-foot bar. I personally think this event's a little too light. I think the first 40-pound bag should be moved out of there, and then the last bag should be 65 pounds because, again, this is an event where the winning time was, again, Nick, who smoked it. He set the fastest time ever at OSG. Last year, Wes had it at 17.26, and I think Nick got 17.16. So to have an event done in less than 20 seconds is kind of, I mean, if you're good at it, it's good. Um, but I think it's just still too short of an event to be prepping all this time and spending all this time and money to go there to finish an event in less than 20 seconds. But at the end of the day, I got second in that event, so I'm not really complaining. Um, and I'm proud of this run because last year I knew I had the strength to get the last bag. Just for some reason, I just didn't trust myself and I didn't one motion the last bag. And I knew that if I would have just one motioned it like the other five, I could have got it. So this year was about redemption for that event. And that's exactly what I did. I just trusted myself. One motioned all the bags and I got them over no problem. Sandbag toss is an event that up in Canada, I don't really get to train all year round because um, I think 5 weeks out from OSG, we got dumped on with a blizzard and there's snow and ice, so it's not really something I can train all year round. So I just trust myself in my capability and came out with second place in that event. So climbed up a little bit. Moving on to the next event was the animal wrecking ball hold. So we didn't know what the weights were until about a week out or a week and a half out from OSG. So it ended up being 600-pound dead weight below us. They made this really cool platform, 4 athlete wide, with a handle and a chain down to a big stone of steel ball that they just add weights for, and it was all on a pneumatic frame. So we didn't have to deadlift it up like in training. I was deadlifting weights up from a block and then just holding on to it. This time you just set the height, set the chain length to your height, and then take the strain, and then the platform drops below it. So they only gave us maybe 6 inches or so of leeway that if your ball touches the frame, your time's done. So you couldn't really squat it down and rest it on your legs like they've done at Giants Live or Worlds before, where they can kind of cheat the system a little bit. So they try to mitigate that a little bit. And moving forward, I would if they do that event again, which I'm hoping they do next year because I'm sure they spend a lot of money on that equipment and would like to utilize it again. I would change a few things, not in my training, but just for the setup specifically for that event that will benefit me for next time. I was in the first heat to go. Um, so yeah, that's typically how they changed the athlete order for the finals for some reason. So typically you would go based on the order that you got in the event before. So I thought because it was 4 athletes at a time, I thought it was going to be 4 athletes, and then me and Nick would go head to head because we were 1 and 2 in the bag toss. But they went overall points because they wanted to try and keep the top guys that are in contention battling each other the whole weekend. So I don't know if I really like that or not because my game plan was to try and just beat Nick specifically on that event because he was, the furthest ahead of me. But so I was in the first heat to go. I knew this event would be good for me, but the only thing we didn't know is the time. They were only calling out 15 seconds at a time, and on an event like that, you're just like holding on. You're like, man, like how long am I? Am I 10 seconds? Am I 15, 20, 30? And you lose track of time, or you start counting in your head, and it's a lot faster than you're actually holding on to. So, um, leading into this competition, I knew I was going to get Keelan to bring an iPad. We downloaded a stopwatch app the day before, tested it out, make sure it worked good. So I had Keelan, and Larson was actually in the crowd, and he was nice enough to hold it up for me. So he was directly in front of me, so I could see exactly what my time was at the end of the day, being in the first heat, it didn't really matter. I just had to hold on to as long as I possibly could. And I kept hearing guys drop beside me. So as they were dropping, I'm like, hey, that's another point. That's another point. That's another point. And then Josh held on to it. Pataka held on to it for like quite a bit longer than me. But I ended up getting second place in that event. So 2 second place events in a row in the finals meant I was just climbing up the ranking, getting more points, which put me after 6 events, I was in fourth place by half a point. So Bryce and Tim Buck were half a point ahead of me going into Atlas Stones. So that's a good spot to be in. Atlas Stones is typically a good event for me, but I knew that Tim Buck is an amazing stone loader. He has finished a stone run at the Shaw Classic. Um, Bryce Johnson has finished a stone run at the Shaw Classic, which is heavier than this and higher. So I knew they had the strength to do it. So I was paired up with Bryce. I've competed against Bryce earlier in the year. We did North Americas together, and the guy's a giant. Like he could be the next Brian Shaw. He's listed at 6'5", but he's easily 6'7", 6'8". Like he's huge and well over 400 pounds. Um, I knew he had the strength, but I just didn't know how fast he could go. So we were going head to head, and I put up my time. I was not very. I wasn't as fast as I normally could be because I just wanted to make sure I finished. Because last year, again, this event, I fell short on the last stone. Just had it up to the platform, but I stepped back instead of stepping forward. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I could actually finish this run, which I knew I was capable of. So I took my time a little bit. And the time that I finished the stone run this year would have won the event last year. So I ended up getting fourth place this year. So that just goes to show how competitive it was. And I was paired up to Bryce, and I could just hear him dunking them on. I wasn't even looking over. I could just hear the stones getting loaded. And I look like I finished my stone, and he's been done for 10 seconds already. Like, that was like a Tom Stoltman style stone run. It was unbelievable. He one motioned up to 400 pounds, and the 425 was nothing for him. So kudos to Bryce. After the event, I said to him, I'm like, where the heck did that come from? And he's like, man, I was nervous going beside you because I know you're good at stones. I'm like, wow, you're really good at stones. So it all came down to the last heat. Tim and Nick were going head to head. It looked like they were going at a good speed. Nick bobbled the last stone, or maybe the last two, a little bit. Tim was able to get ahead of him. So I didn't know what that was points wise. I didn't know what that was for their time. So we were cleaning up stones, and I'm like, man, like I was so nervous, only being half a point away from podium. I didn't know how the points all shook out, but they ended up. Nick, well, I knew Bryce smoked all of us. He finished it like 10 seconds faster than us. But Nick and Tim were like 1.54 seconds faster than me. So at the end of the day, I finished in fourth place overall with 43 points. Tim Buck and Bryce Johnson tied with 46 and a half points. And they went on a count back, or no, they went back. The tiebreaker was the last event. So Bryce put up a faster time. So he got second. And then Nick Gordion had 48 points. So only 5 points away from first place. And if you look at the math and you look at the one event, the car yoke, I lost 6 points just by 0.76 of a second. So I know at the end of the day, it's not an excuse or anything, because every athlete could say, oh, if I was this a little bit better, one more rep here or there. But at the end of the day, that just goes to show exactly how competitive it was, where the guy in fourth place could have won the whole show if he was less than 1 second faster in one event. And that's not taking anything away from Nick, Bryce, or Tim, because they all crushed it. We are all competitive. So they're going off to Giants Live next year. Potentially World's Strongest Man. We don't really know. Those invites are starting to roll out now. So it's exciting to see where those guys can, where they're going to go. And you never know. After the show, I talked to Colin Bryce, and I just said, hey, if World's Strongest Man is only having 25 guys this year, and um, Hooper, Maxime, Tristan, and Wes are more than likely all going to get invited for their finishes this year. I said, look pretty cool if you had one Canadian in every group. I'm just saying. So um, last year they reached out to me to be a non-travel reserve for my fifth place. So, I'm on their list, and I talked to Darren too, and he said, there is a list and you're on it. And if you're improving, you're climbing that list. So I'm on the radar. I'm a little disappointed on my performance because I'm not disappointed in my performance, just the overall placing. I'm proud of my performance because I PR'd every event or tied my best in training. So I can't ask for more than that. I improved from my last year's placing and injury free. So at the end of the day, fourth place, a little shy of podium, but hey, I'll be back there next year, and I'm confident in saying that I would be one of the heavy favorites to to podium again next year, or not again, but I'd be one of the heavy favorites to podium next year. So um, it's gonna be interesting to see what the events are. I'll keep coming. I'll keep coming till I podium and get to that next level. Um, I think I showed that I can hang with the guys on certain events. I just need to keep working on my weaknesses, get my pressing up. I'm really gonna hammer on my leg power and my squat, get those numbers up, and everything else is gonna fall into place. I don't need event training. I got more than enough competition experience, so yeah, just a couple weaknesses that I'm still working on, and it's still getting better every year. So um, pretty happy with that. Nice little bronze trophy, where not bronze, copper, top 10 finish. There's two of them now, two times at OSG, two times in the finals. If all else fails, I can melt these down and sell them for copper. But um, yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in. Thank you to all the new subscribers, because I think we gained like 60 some subscribers while we were at OSG. So it's greatly appreciated. We talked to some of the fans at our hotel, actually. They were just talking about Strongman with us for like an hour. And then they ended up following us on YouTube and we're making comments on the video. So it's greatly appreciated. It helps our channel grow. Um, we got some big news coming here in the new year. And we're also going to be doing a year-end recap, so kind of all the competition as a whole this year. And we've got some big news coming. We've got a big season next year. I'm probably going to compete a little bit less than I normally do, but that means that I'm going to really prioritize and focus my time towards the shows that are going to get me to the next level. So excited to see where we go, how next year is going to go. And again, thank you to all the subscribers. Thanks for all the comments, love, support. I try and answer all it's me answering all the comments as soon as I can coming in. So I do appreciate them. We did a first YouTube live a week after OSG. I tried for a deadlift PR. Didn't quite get that either, but definitely wasn't recovered from OSG. So that's something that maybe we'll do more in the future, is kind of those Instagram lives, if we're maybe going for PRs or something, or um, stuff like that, that we could do like charity lifts or something. We're just playing around with the idea, still working on the membership packages and options like that. So we appreciate it all. And Keelan looks like she's getting sleepy behind the camera. So we're going to wrap that up there. And thank you very much. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that little bell. And let's keep this train rolling.